This podcast is rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. Some material may not be suitable for children. Mission to City.
Okay.
All right.
You recording?
Yeah.
All right, let's
Welcome
do this.
to let's go. Ready?
Are you
guys
want to do
ready?
it? You going to do it,
Yeah.
John?
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to do it, John?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay,
Welcome
John.
to the Mission U2 Filmcast, where every week we are reviewing a song by the super pop group U2. This is 218 songs based on a list by Karen Rose and published in Vulture Online. And this week, we are looking at number 78, Vertigo, from the How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb album. Which makes you wonder if that's what they thought they could accomplish with their music, or were they just putting some nice sounding words together? It's a question we often ask ourselves as we review U2 songs. So joining me are TC and Denny. Hola, guys.
I want out.
Hola,
I didn't sign up
guys.
for this.
I don't know who U2
What?
is.
Come on.
Who's U2?
U2, come on.
They have a song named Jimmy Stewart.
And hey, they open up the song. Vertigo opens with Uno, Dos, Tres, Quatorce. You might wonder where that's from because it's 1, 2, 3, 13.
Is that the
14?
band with the bassist Kim Novak? Is that who that is?
No. What?
Are they in San Francisco? Is there a bell tower?
U2 has no women.
Ah, okay.
Right.
Okay. How
Anyway,
about a nun? There's no nuns. There's got to
No.
be a nun in at least one YouTube video.
no. Okay.
Do they have
All right.
Freddie
Well-
Hitchcock behind the recording thing?
Ooh,
Little
Mr.
Freddie
Hitchcock.
Hitchcock in there?
No, so join us next week where we try number
That was it, everyone.
That's the podcast.
review.
That's the end of it.
77. Who's going to ride your wild horses from Actung Baby?
Is it Actung or I thought it was a Chung? It's not a Chung?
We're going Actung.
Actung.
It's not a chung. What is a chung? It's German, isn't it? Actung
I have no idea.
Actung.
is Actung. That's how you-
Actung.
it's
That
Say
sounds,
attention. Yeah.
that sounds something
It
else.
sounds you too.
It sounds very U2.
Yeah, I had
it
more.
does.
I mean, the weird counting at the beginning is a Three's Company's reference. There's a lot there, But fine, you guys don't want to go into it. That's okay.
Let's dig into this movie instead, huh, John? What do you say? This movie,
What movie?
we're watching the 1958 Alfred Hitchcock movie Vertigo. The synopsis is a former police detective juggles wrestling with his personal demons and becoming obsessed with a hauntingly beautiful woman. And this week,
Women?
women.
Well, I
Women?
guess you're right.
Well, I guess it is women.
2 women.
It's one
John.
woman, but women.
It sort of works that you can say singular and plural at the same time in this case.
And
So
what
8
about
women.
Midge? Don't
sort
you
of
forget
makes some
Midge.
sense.
Don't you forget Midge, John.
Come on, Mitch.
I liked Mitch. I thought she was great.
I thought
Yeah.
she was
I
beautiful.
liked her at first until she had to be like all sappy for him and make the painting and cry and fling ink.
Yeah, she's got glasses. She draws bras. She's great. It's Midge.
I liked her.
Hey,
but,
Midge.
but then she has to be there just to anyway. Go on, Denny.
So my turn to go first. Yeah, John and TC, point. Hey guys, I thought it was TC's turn, so I don't know what I'm going to say here.
That's tough shit.
I'm going to start positive and then go negative. What do you say?
That's fine.
That sounds good.
I mean, it's, yeah.
Blame
this-
TC for your lack of planning. It also
Sounds like the
said-
opposite of what I usually do.
Yeah.
So,
So the intro to this movie is really cool. You like that? It's got a lot of spinning
Mhm.
colors and stuff. I like the faces and the colors.
What
Yeah.
year was the spirograph invented?
the same year U2 was
Time
born.
to start
I
Googling.
mean, yes. So the spirograph was brought to, because if the spirograph wasn't a thing back then, I think that might have been pretty wowzer. But I know what a spirograph doodles look like, and I didn't really want to watch like a bunch of spirograph doodles as the opening titles to a film. But,
1881.
Wow.
That's
the
old.
spirograph is old. Holy cow.
That's not surprising. That's some lame technology there, John.
Wow. That's impressive
Yeah.
though. What was it made of back then? Like wood or what?
Wood. Yes, correct.
Yeah. Oh.
Wood.
That sounds like Denny doesn't know.
No,
Anyways,
I'm looking
moving
at
on.
pictures. It's wood. So yeah, this movie. It's got a lot. I'm just gonna go super superficial with the positive stuff. It looks great.
Okay.
The picture is really clear. I liked all of the colors. I liked how a lot of the shots seemed like they could be paintings, and it was kind of like a virtual tour of San Francisco. You drive around with old Jimmy Stewart there. You're kind of
I was
spying,
wondering.
and you're kind of just looking at San Francisco shit.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I was wondering if you were like, hey, I know that place.
I do, because San Francisco has some extreme zoning laws, and everything looks the exact freaking same as it did
It
back
really
here.
does.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Pretty weird
Okay.
and kind of cool.
Yeah, 'cause they certainly gave you a lot of time to savor it.
There's more poop on the sidewalk, but
I was
yeah,
gonna
exactly.
say, how much poop was on the sidewalk?
That's
then
the
you
only
want, you
difference.
think?
Yeah. There's just the downtown area, like the northeastern corner of San Francisco, is all high rises now because that's like the where the boom has happened. But every other part, like Fort Point and the Presidio and all the way down, it's not high rises yet. So it looks pretty much the same. But all that stuff was kind of cool.
You actually go down there by the bridge, just sort of jump in the water.
You can.
Yeah, you ever jumped in the water?
You can do that. Yeah.
Is
Still
it
allowed.
cold?
It's cold and it's dirty. You don't want to go in there.
You ever swam to Alcatraz?
Yeah. You look at the poop that you see on the surface, you just wonder what kind of poop is there underneath, I guess.
Google it and talking about poop in the first 10 minutes. This does not bode well.
Yeah,
this
is not. Yeah, we're on a downward spiral.
Yeah, sorry.
Jimmy Stewart in color. Hey, can you say anything bad about that? He's in color, for Christ's sake.
Baby
He's got blue eyes. He's got blue eyes.
Oh, they're so blue.
Who would have thunk it? I thought he had gray to black eyes. I don't know. Some other color. Can't really tell. Yeah. This movie doesn't make a lot of sense. I left the movie after watching it thinking that was better than most of the Hitchcock we've watched, mostly because I like the shots, like the cinematography and stuff is pretty good. And the music wasn't terrible. I actually kind of liked it a lot of the time. It wasn't the old kind of, this is from the 50s. You think big band, you think crappy music, but I wasn't really irritated by the music at all in this movie. But the majority, and as I listened to the commentary and read up about Hitchcock, it kind of I became more and more negative on the movie, and I can talk about that why later. But this movie gets a lot of credit for, I don't know why. The plot doesn't make a lot of sense. The suspense was like zero to me. A lot of just trying to figure out what was going on was just dumb. Like the first half of the movie is him following her. And every time he followed her, I was just thinking she would see him. He's 10 feet away from her.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And then the second half
seems creepy. Why is he doing this? That. Oh, right.
Yeah. In the second half, it's like he falls in love with this girl and he finds her again, but he's not actually in love with her. He only wants to sleep with his friend's wife. Like he's not actually in love with this woman. Their relationship also just happened super quick. It's like in the old movies, if you're hot
he walked
and you look
to
at
her
somebody,
door and then he opened it. Yeah, and that was it.
Yeah.
That was it. And then they're
if
in
you're
relationship.
Hot, then you're in love.
Yeah.
You just throw
That
words
was it.
in
By
love
the way,
around like crazy.
I would recognize her. I'm sorry. There's no way. She looked exactly the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, from the moment he saw her like bare back when she was there in the bar, that was it. He was like, that's it.
That's a nice back.
Look at those shoulder blades.
That's a nice back.
Oh.
That was right. Yep.
And then she turned around and she had that white hair and he's like, I like it. I like everything about this.
It's all good.
I mean, as a single man who hasn't had any in quite some time, a good shoulder blade goes a long way.
Yeah.
And part of it could be that I didn't, and this sounds shallow, but this movie is shallow. I didn't find her that attractive. If she was
I did.
If she was more attractive, then I maybe would have had an easier time, relating to him being spellbound by her.
Jenny, you're right there. That is shallow.
It is, but this movie is shallow. It's about people falling in love, quote unquote, after all they have is each other's looks. That's it, right?
John, I thought you were gonna go into some long-winded agreement about why she. I was not expecting that at all. That was great. You're right, Jenny. Yeah, you're right, Jenny. That is shallow.
It doesn't count though, because I said it was going to be before I said anything.
Yeah. Well, your preface does not,
It does. That's how that works.
His joke.
Yeah,
his joke wasn't about the shallowness.
Yeah.
I mean, her fucking makeup was perfect.
Are you kidding? Her eyebrows are on the top of her freaking forehead.
Oh, I thought she was.
He's laughing because it's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
I don't care.
True.
Yeah. And they were different. They were like oddly painted differently in her next incarnation.
Yeah, that was the first version of Kim Kardashian right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
I
All right,
assume
Benny.
that makeup probably works a lot better in black and white, but in color, it's
possibly.
just like, dude, that's not where eyebrows go.
Yeah, it looks like wax.
Yeah, there's no hair. It was just like painted on. I don't know. I didn't think she was good at all until like the last scene where she was being dragged up the stairs. And I thought Jimmy Stewart was not good either. And I usually like him a lot. Midge's character was confusing. It's his ex-wife that she broke off the relationship with. Ex-fiance. That he said that she broke off the relationship.
Right.
But she's still in love with him, kind of. And
Right.
Jimmy just hangs out at her fucking house all the time.
she broke it off because she knew he really didn't love her and it wasn't really going to work out. But she still kind of holds the flame for him. I liked that about her character until she like went weird and did the painting. That sort of like
What
I didn't
is
mind
her
that,
purpose in the movie, though?
Her purpose in the movie is to be a damsel that I thought it was just sort of as
compare
a nice,
the ugliness.
interesting
See how
friend.
she's uglier
Yeah.
than the other blonde?
You
The other
see?
blonde is
Yeah,
obviously
right.
hotter.
Yeah, that otherwise I kind of liked her character at first. I thought it was sort of interesting and unusual, but nope. She's just going to be madly in love with him and paint a
Yeah, I'm not sure
picture.
what her purpose is, though, because at some point we kind of lose Midge, and it's just like, all right, oh, she's gone now.
Yeah.
Why, Midge?
She tried to give him a painting and then
Well, Midge was there for that very important first scene that was 20 minutes long where they explained what was going to happen in the next scene of the movie, you know?
Mhm.
Very important to explain what's going to happen before it happens. That's what Hitchcock calls suspense.
Ooh, you don't like him, huh?
No, not after this movie, man. So I'll get into this more later, but the biggest problem I have with this movie is I felt like I could feel Hitchcock directing this movie, you know? Like I could feel his fingerprints all over it and I could feel his fucking creepiness, you know?
Was he touching you, Danny?
Dude,
Yeah, was he?
So he was, yeah.
How was your shoulder blades?
I say, Dennis, look over there. Look now. See
Was
Dennis.
Hitchcock touching? Was that the question? Was Hitchcock touching you while you watch this movie? No, John. Hitchcock has been dead for tens
You
of
said
years.
he was.
Was
You said,
he?
yeah, he
Was
was.
Hitchcock
I was just
sitting
trying to
in
pass
there
on by it,
while
but I
you
was
were watching this, Denny?
I didn't quite comprehend the weirdness of that question, but when you first asked it, John, so I had to
You
go
can
back.
feel him reaching out from
Now,
behind
Dennis,
the screen and
look
touching
over
you and
to your
making you
left.
uncomfortable. Yes.
Dennis, look to your left, Dennis.
Notice the static camera frames.
Notice Jimmy's blue eyes, Dennis.
No, I just felt like the camera lingered on her too much. It was about him following her. It was like, you know, some people will say that the intent is to be voyeuristic and that you're a part of what's going on. And maybe that kind of worked, but I just felt kind of gross doing it because I could see Hitchcock telling, this woman how to look. And
wait till you hear his thoughts on some of it. What he thinks is most interesting on this film. That's to come later.
Okay. And then, I felt that while watching it and then listening to William Friedkin was the guy who did the commentary, the director of The French Connection and The Exorcist, strangely.
Oh, okay.
Terrible commentary track, but he did have a couple of things that I'll bring up. One of them was that in parallel with the plot of the movie, Hitchcock dressed Kim Novak in ways she didn't want to be dressed and did her hair in ways she didn't want done. Just like this creepy Jon Stewart character, Jono, whatever his name is, does to the character in the movie. And he's weird in the movie when he does that, and I don't know. Hitchcock does the same things. I feel like this is kind of the 8.5 of Hitchcock movies, where it's like, it's kind of just reflecting on, he's using his power to make a slow, boring movie with a lot of, quote, deeper imagery or deeper meaning behind all of what's going on. But really, it's just a movie that doesn't make any logical sense about a guy who falls in love with a woman for no good reason and then gets the chance to fall in love with her again, doesn't, and then just goes crazy.
Right.
And then a nun pops out of nowhere and she falls off. That's the end.
Yep. Fair
All right.
enough.
I mean, that's
Number
good enough.
one movie
So
rated of all
quick.
time,
We don't
Sight
have
and
to go too
Sounds.
much further. I mean, this is arguably one of his best movies, according to
Everyone?
X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
It's up there. I mean, we still got Psycho and North by Northwest to go, at least, if not more.
And Psycho and Rear Window.
Rear window. Okay.
that's
So I'm
three
going to
more.
agree with Denny on the confusion. Because I had to read the synopsis to figure out what this movie was about. And I've seen it before.
This is after you finished it?
No, it's about halfway in. I read the synopsis halfway in. That's how good it was.
Yeah.
I'm going to spoil this here for myself because I'm super
I was like, what
into
the
it.
fuck is going on? Yeah. Yeah, the movie ended for me when the woman fell off the
The
bell
first
tower.
time. Yeah.
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 So I thought the movie was over.
Yep. Should have
So
been.
here I am, sitting in bed, typing away on my phone, looking at Coinbase, trying to figure out my next move because I'm a big stock guy.
That's not stocks, dude. That's fucking Bitcoin.
Yeah, no shit. That's
cryptocurrency.
why I said it that way. And so I'm sitting there like not paying attention. And then I'm realizing that like I'm still hearing big band swirling violins and cellos and shit. And I look up and he's following her again. And I'm like, this movie's still going? Like, Jesus. I forgot about this. I'm like, I thought this movie ended and that was the end of like, oh, he's just okay. He followed her and then she died. I'm not sure if I got this movie mixed up with another movie or what, or if it was just so long ago that I saw it that I didn't quite remember it, or it's just how I always watch a movie that, barely watch it. So, I'm like, I literally, and so I looked up the synopsis like right around that part, and it goes into that whole, and she goes to Burnett, and it's like a whole other movie. It's like, you got to sit through the rest of the movie, and you're like, wait, so he doesn't recognize her even? How could you not recognize her?
How could you not? And not just be like, hey, you're a twin at least, right? Because you look the fucking same.
Like, there's no way. And like, how crazy are you? He guess he's that crazy. I mean, there was some good shots. There was some good, there was a really good set design and little things that were like, wow, that's fucking pristine, Yeah. Like, you could really spend some time destructing like you said, the imagery.
Yeah.
I thought she was gorgeous, so I didn't mind watching it, right? But to be honest, I'm sitting there in bed like, man, I really need a girlfriend, I wasn't sitting there like watching the movie like, this fucking movie rocks. And I didn't realize this was supposedly Hitchcock's best fucking film, because I had to read that on IMDb when I was reading the synopsis. I was like, so this is their best. So I sat there after that being like, this is his best film? Wow. Okay. And then it kept going. I was like, really? So if I hadn't read the synopsis, I don't think I would have connected the dots unless they showed me like they did about the husband and the dying wife and the whole. I don't think I would have connected the dots. Because it was not obvious what the hell the plan, the quote unquote plan was. Up until they showed that one shot where she's running up the damn bell tower, and then you see him throw out a dummy.
That part confused me, because when he was holding his unconscious wife at the top of the tower, I thought he was holding a dummy.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah, but it was so I watched it twice, once for the commentary, and it's actually an actress when he's holding her at the top. When he has her like held, there's like another woman, but she's limp. The assumption there is, I guess, she's drugged. But it's so quick that I thought they had a dummy and they threw a dummy off. So I was just sitting there the rest of the time being like, why is there a murder trial? They threw a dummy off. Like, they're not going to fucking
I see what you mean. Yeah, right. Like, you're like, wait, so when they picked up the dummy, no one saw that it was
somebody
a dummy?
call an ambulance. Like, it's a dummy. You're like, oh,
it's
my
a dummy.
God. She's gonna
it's
die.
a dummy.
It looks so phony when it fell down, too. I couldn't help but think of Monty Python. Like, oof. You're seeing somebody fall off a bell tower. Like,
yeah, so, I mean, that's about all I got.
Nice.
I mean, there's not much else to say, really.
I thought this was really long and slow, and I know they want to give you the sense that he's following her, but man, it was really, really slow during the following parts. They really let it all draw out. And again, like you said, Denny, that's supposed to give you this voyeur-esque feeling, I guess, but man, it just was very slow. And
we can say that John does not hate sitting in cars next to actors that he likes and just drive around aimlessly like in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Right. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm all right with that.
It's not inherently bad.
So, well, if I was sitting in a theater, but also like I keep picturing what the orchestra looks like if there are these guys that are like sweating because they've been playing for freaking 2 hours. Like,
yeah, they didn't have music editing back then. You just had to record it all at once.
It was all live, and they all had to do it live. That's the way Hitchcock demanded it. No, I'm sure not. But it always. I mean, the orchestration was constant from beginning to end. It was like constant tension violins. Like, sometimes more tense, sometimes less tense, but tense the whole time. It got annoying. I had the earbuds in for this one, so that was something that was starting to really. I wish it was like a video game where you can just like turn down the music, especially in those long RPGs where you're just wandering around the world like this. You just turn off the music eventually because it gets repetitive. So anyway, what else? I got tired of Stewart just being so insane and demanding all the time.
Do your hair. Okay. Put on this dress. Okay.
Do it for me.
Why is she listening to him?
Do it for me.
Leave, lady. He's
because
fucking
she feels
crazy.
Guilty and she loves him, and it's he loves her and he's all messed up because he thinks he's responsible for her death, and it's not her. I don't know.
Hitchcock had never been in love, and he has no idea what the
strange.
fuck love is because he overuses it in his movies. You can't just be like, I love you, and you're like, well, I love you too, but I'm gonna go fucking pretend that I'm gonna kill us. Like, no. No one's in love in this movie. They just want to fuck each other. That's all this is.
Yeah, well, and that's the again, I think we talked about this with Strangers on a Train, and I feel so detached from people in his movie. I don't feel like I'm along with them or anything. They're almost dehumanized. And so it's really hard to care. And I don't know, maybe back then this sort of stuff maybe this was more like a horror movie back then because it was scandalous and for the time, and maybe it was more of a real thriller when to us maybe it seems more mundane.
People didn't like it. The initial reviews of this movie were mediocre at best. People thought it was overly long and boring.
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
Yeah.
But then you have people like
long.
Yeah, you have people like Scorsese and William Friedkin come out being like best movie ever, and then critics, they rated it the #1 best movie ever. What?
Yeah.
So and it happened that way in 2012. So Sight and Sound comes out with a list like every 10 years or so since 1952. And in 2012, when they last released it, for the first time ever, Citizen Kane was dethroned by Vertigo.
Oh man, that's weird.
Yeah,
I don't get it all.
And you wonder why I don't like Citizen Kane. I mean, there you go, right there.
Yeah, well,
there's a whole different group of people that become movie critics, and to be in that group, you have to fucking like these certain number of movies. Otherwise, you're not a real movie critic, I guess.
Yeah,
it's
really
right.
Strange.
It's very strange.
Yeah, and a lot. You're right about the sets are nice, and some of the shots are really nice. But a lot the effects really don't age well at all. Like all the visual effects, they just look comical now. And
I like
maybe
the dream sequence was kind of cool. I like that whole thing.
Oh man, I didn't. The strobing red light I thought I was going to have a seizure there. That was pretty upsetting. I didn't like it. I couldn't look at that very well. But what
about the shot where they're hugging each other in his apartment at the end, and the camera swirls around them, and the background turns into like the carriage one? That was pretty cool. And then it comes back into the.
It comes back. That was cool. Right. That was like a decent effect. But like when they had his spinning head, disembodied head floating.
I like that. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I was like, this is the weirdest part of the movie. It just they shoehorn this like there's a little animated like a 10-second animation of the flowers, and then it's just beheaded Jimmy Stewart just floating in a weird psychedelic color thing.
Yeah.
And then back to fucking boring ass following.
Yeah, it was boring, and then I got tired of the intensity. I liked the judge. I thought he was really cool. I liked how he was like talking about,
how he was being a dick about it. Yeah,
I know. I thought
unnecessary.
it was it was, but it was funny.
His girlfriend just died, man. Leave him alone.
I know, but I just I liked how the judge was handling it and just being kind of snarky. If you want to believe him, yes,
this might not be the best time to bring that up. We don't have to sit here and do that, but we will anyway for a second or two. Yeah.
So I did like that. But yeah, otherwise I didn't care. And so that made it even longer and more boring because things didn't seem real. Him falling in love didn't seem real. His craziness because of all the things that happened didn't seem real. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense. It's sort of like it's so melodramatic and just sort of, it just feels very like two-dimensional almost. But also like, even then it doesn't make sense. So, yeah.
I remember like 2 weeks ago or last week even when we talked about watching this movie, I think it was last week and 2 weeks ago, we were all like, I like that movie. And I remember liking this movie. And
I thought I was good last time I saw it. But maybe I just, was bamboozled by the people around me.
Yeah. That's what I feel too. Are we all just... I saw it and I liked it because otherwise I'm going to get flack for it and I don't know how to defend myself.
Right. And that's all I remember is that I said I liked it. So I'm like, I better say that again.
Yeah.
Well, so if you at least did like it at once, at one point you liked it, maybe you can be more sympathetic. Maybe you've just watched too many old films now.
I think I just don't like movies.
I honestly, I'm not sure I watched the entire thing last time because this movie is long as fuck. This movie is probably the longest movie with the shortest ending. The ending comes out of nowhere. And then as soon as it happens, it rolls credits. And you're like, wait, what? This was nearly 2.5 hours. And the last scene is like 10 seconds long.
I think that might be also our longest on-screen kiss.
You think?
When she finally dresses the way he wants, I think that there's like I should have timed it. No, I didn't really want to, but
the one where they're spinning around and it's
that was a long, and it's hard when they have to kiss, but they're not allowed to open their mouths or anything, or they just don't. So it's sort of weird, just sort of.
Yeah, it's supposed to be sexually explicit, but what Jimmy Stewart does by smushing his face into the side of her face, you see all his extra skin, just like starts folding it, and like he's Akira, like enveloping fucking the females. It's disgusting.
Oh,
Yeah, he really does push himself right in there.
He does it
right in there.
Yeah, we have a couple more Jimmy Stewart movies. I'll point it out too. He has a lot of extras for a skinny guy. He's got a lot of face skin. I don't know how he does that.
Yeah.
Well, if he does it too quickly, it would just like suction cup.
Yeah.
And it would just stick there.
Somebody help.
Exactly. What? No, that was just my cheek. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, okay. Get the spatula. Stewart's done it again.
Yep.
Don't
Anyway.
kiss a wet Jimmy Stewart or we'll be here all night.
Yeah, right.
What are we talking about?
I don't know. Shoulder blades.
I think the creepiest part that I think when I started feeling Hitchcock, like touching me, sitting behind me just with his hand on my shoulder, just watching me watch the movie, is the scene where fucking Jimmy Stewart takes off all of the clothes. So she hops in the water and he rescues her. And what would actually happen?
Took off all her clothes.
Took off all of her clothes. Oh, you were wet, so I undressed you and put you in my bed.
Take her, maybe home is really far away. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe home was too far away. But yeah,
home was in the marina. It was right around the corner.
I could just see the creep
baby.
that is Hitchcock in his house by himself writing a screenplay. And then the most perfect blonde lady you've ever seen, unconscious,
Mr.
you bring her home,
Mr.
you
Burns with his hands.
disrobe her, and then put her in your bed. Yes,
You
this
would
is going to be
obviously
good.
disrobe her. When you saw her shoulder blades, you knew you would disrobe her.
excuse me a moment. I must go to the bathroom.
Excuse me, woman. I will put you in my bed and disrobe you.
Oh, you better not do that. You might get fucking, charge on you, too.
Oh, you're right. It's really weird. He's like, what are you looking for? Your robe?
Yeah, and she comes out. She's like, oh, I took off all your clothes. Wear the robe. And she comes out, and he's not like, hey, sorry, I'm, Jono. I saved you. He's just like, why don't you come over here and sit by the fire? And you're like,
And where were you? Where were you both then? What'd you do then?
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're best friends now. Hi. Nice to meet
And
you.
she's all receptive of it, like a fucking weird ass male fantasy. Like, how is she not screaming and calling the cops immediately when she wakes up?
I'll
Well,
scream,
wait,
mister.
because no, because she's paid to do all of this. She's not really his wife, or she's the double. So isn't that it? Right?
That is it. Right. I mean, she's part of the scam.
But that doesn't matter because Jimmy Stewart would have done what he did up to that point anyway.
Right, and she should have been freaked out by that, maybe. Like, ugh.
If she wasn't in on it. But what he
she
did
is in on
he
it
didn't
from the
know that
beginning.
she was in on it. He was going to do that to whoever, if like a beautiful woman who is unconscious and wet,
Right.
he's going to take her fucking clothes off and bring her to his house.
Right. Well,
Right.
not in that
see what
order,
you're
but
saying.
yes, still.
Yeah.
But then, even though he does that, she still falls in love with him. In reality, you're supposed to believe.
Well, and she couldn't help it. I don't know why, because whatever.
Yeah, her
They
eyebrows
just-
are too high. It's blocking all her thoughts,
I don't know.
And I can just hear, because listening to William Friedkin, again, terrible commentary. Don't listen to it unless you want to have your opinion of liking this movie just, regurgitated back at you for 2.5 hours. He talks about a lot how this movie doesn't need to make sense because it doesn't make sense on purpose. It's supposed to exist in a dreamlike state.
It's poetry.
It's poetry. Exactly.
yeah,
It's got that
it's
bullshit
poetry.
excuse.
I don't like that bullshit.
Neither do I.
We're
You
too
can have
logical. That's
poetry.
why I don't. Creativity
Yeah.
sometimes doesn't make any sense. To
I
me.
don't mind it not. I mean, look, we can look at Brazil or even like for looking at Akira where parts of it don't make sense and there's a lot to appreciate regardless. It doesn't always have to make complete sense and we can still really, really like what we're seeing. So that does sometimes work, but if it's boring and doesn't make sense, it's kind of
Yeah,
it just-
I'm just thinking
Yeah,
like
if
in
it's
Brazil, at
boring.
least the dialogue between the characters and the little scenarios they come up with are entertaining by themselves, even if they don't make sense as a whole. But in this movie, it's him literally driving around with no dialogue or them kissing each other and saying, I love you. And then Jimmy Stewart just, sitting in a chair having some weird, what did he do? He had the fear of heights, which gave him vertigo.
Right.
But then,
then he had the fear of causing somebody's death because of your fear of heights.
yes.
So
and
that's
so he
like
sat in a chair for a while.
Yeah, vertigo mortis, and then
Vertigo mortis.
So,
It's good.
So then you, that's not right.
It
at all.
is good.
But,
I
but
like
anyway,
it.
so he's sitting
Vertigo
there, like,
mortis.
and then he just came out of that somehow. They
Oh, you're
just
supposed to
snapped him out
forget.
of
Oh,
that.
you forget about that, though.
A couple of
You
years.
forget about that. That's fine.
He's got a step stool. It's
So
fine,
we just,
Midge.
the film had been so slow moving up to that point anyway. I was a little startled when all of a sudden he's walking on the streets again. I was like, wait a minute, we need like a 30-minute transition to him being better because everything else has moved really slow. So, but yeah.
Now, if Robert De Niro had come in mid fucking scene with Midge and Stewart and been the HVAC guy, that would have been funny.
Yeah.
An HVAC guy.
Yeah.
What was the last scene Midge was even in?
Well, the last scene was the painting. That was it.
That was it.
Oh, that was it.
That's the end of her
Oh,
story.
No, I don't think so. It
I
was the
thought
last
so.
scene. The
When
last
she-
scene is when she's visiting him in the hospital and fondling him, sort of, or telling him that she loves him and she's here, mommy's here, or something.
That's
That
some
was
weird
fucking
shit.
weird. Yeah.
And then she talks to the doctor. That's the last we see of Mitch. That's the last.
But what?
Aw.
I still don't
Bye,
know what her
Mitch.
purpose is in the movie, other than just to be the secondary woman,
Literally to compare.
other woman.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
dressed like a nerd, and she's not the Hitchcock woman, and she's just supposed to be like, check it. Like they almost look the same to me. They're
But to
kind
just
of-
show,
they
I don't
do
know, to
look
just
close.
show
Yeah.
how desirable the Jimmy is. I don't know what. I mean, again, I thought
All
it might
that
speak to
face
his
skin.
character that like she's there because she's saying that like this is a guy that just falls in maybe there's a pattern for him. He just keeps falling madly in love with women that he shouldn't, and she knew this even though she loves him, that she'd never be marrying material because he just keeps running off after whatever cute woman he runs into or saves. They could have been something there that she could have sort of like helped sort of elaborate on. But no.
No.
It really seemed like she was there to be hopelessly in love with him. That was really her purpose. And it really came to a head when she paints this picture of her with flowers because she thinks that's what she likes, which is so stupid. There's no sense there other than, again, just to make her look really, really stupid.
I mean, she is dumb, right? All she does is sit around and try to get Jimmy in the bed.
I haven't
she's
met a
in-
woman in my life that liked someone that much.
Yeah. Male fantasy
It doesn't-
shit. This is Hitchcock.
Yeah, it
being like,
doesn't happen.
This is what's
Yeah,
going.
it's always the other
Maybe
direction.
so.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not a thing.
So a lot of this movie didn't make sense just in terms of logical stuff. But there was a scene where she goes up into a hotel room and he sees her in the window. And then he goes into the hotel and he's like, hey, the woman upstairs, what's her name? And let me go talk to her. And she's like, she's not here today. And she like disappears. What the fuck was up with that scene?
She was a ghost.
That's what I didn't understand. Where the hotel person like denies that she ever was there. Was the hotel clerk in on it then? Because I didn't understand.
Or did she sneak in and like use the key, but then put the key back and then exit the hotel before he could walk in the front door?
Right. And what was the point of all
Well,
that?
is that part of the story where the woman is the ghost and?
But that's what it tries to trick you. But you realize that by the end, she's not an actual ghost. It's all just
But
a ploy.
it's tricked him enough.
But why
to
would it- I don't
continue?
know what-
Right.
Right. I
Because
don't
he
know
thinks
why.
he thinks he's dating the. I don't fucking know. You're right.
Well, I
It doesn't
guess
make
maybe
any sense.
it's just to add some. Maybe they just decide to do that to add a supernatural part of the con. They just really make him think he's losing his mind.
No, that's what bugs me too
So-
about this kind of movie. It was like everybody, like I wouldn't dislike this movie as much as I do, except for the fact that it's rated so highly and everyone just kisses fucking Hitchcock's ass so much all the time.
Yeah.
He does
Yeah.
things where he uses tricks. Everyone says his tricks are the best, but the trick is that it breaks the real narrative in the movie to trick the audience. But then you later learn that actually is impossible. So
If
I don't
anyone
know.
ever hears this, they're gonna say, "Sink that podcast." No
Yeah.
one listened to that podcast.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, who cares? It's okay.
Yeah. They don't like Hitchcock. Let them go.
I don't know if I've seen one that. I mean, I think I like the birds just because it was freaky. That's not on our list.
That
but,
was a good one. That one was freaky.
Have you seen Rear Window?
No, not for a
Rope
long,
was
long
good.
time.
Rope was good.
Yeah, Rope
I
was
liked
pretty
Rope.
good. We watched that recently.
Yeah.
Rear Window,
Yeah.
I remember really, legitimately liking that movie. Hopefully that remains the same after watching
Yeah.
it on this list when we get to it. If you jump into the bay, it's 5 feet into the water. You're not going to just die.
I mean, what was that? Yeah.
No, but she's
She
like,
was floating
oh,
with
like,
her face above the water. She's fine.
yeah, I know.
I wouldn't even jump in. I'd just be like, "Hey,
Hey,
what's
lady.
wrong with you?"
Hey,
She's got him convinced that she's like possessed or something, so she's just going there to kill herself.
I would have. Her face is
So-
above the water. I would have gotten
Yeah.
a stick and kind of dragged her back to the edge. I
Here,
wouldn't have
take
hopped
the
in.
stick.
Yeah.
Take the stick.
You're all right.
No,
You're all right. You're all right. Just keep saying it over and over again.
take the stick. Take the stick. Come on.
No. I'm
What?
just gonna stay right here. You're all right. You're
Yeah,
all right.
I
I'll
don't
watch.
want to get wet, but I
I'll
want to
watch.
help you.
I'll make sure you don't go all the way under.
Yeah, that's right.
Gotta love old movies where you can just grab women by the shoulders.
Just shake him around. What's the
Yeah.
matter with you?
Listen
A
to me.
man who knows
see?
what he wants.
You grab her and you shake her.
Yeah. Now, when
No,
she
you
falls
really-
in the water, I want you to.
let me do it. Let me show you.
Stay
Let
down.
me show you.
I want my hands in the shot, like Tarantino or whatever.
Yeah,
Use
okay,
my hands
yeah.
this time.
Yep.
Is he kidding on her? What does that mean?
Hitting on her?
No.
Hitting on her? What?
Oh, is he
Hitting.
hitting? Is he hitting on her? Yes, he is.
He just answered his own note.
Good, Denny.
I'm good like that.
Yeah, right. Oh, yes, he is. Yes.
This movie also has a good number of bent neck kisses, where the women just kind of completely bend their neck.
And they melt.
They just kind of melt.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Make that noise.
Good
Well, you
stuff.
got to do that. You got to do that with Stuart because if you push back, you might lose your face in his face. So you got to you got to lean when Stuart's coming at
Defensive
you.
maneuver. Is what it
Oh
is.
my God! Oh Jesus! They're thinking to themselves. Oh my God! Pick up the
Otherwise,
face.
yeah,
Not the left cheek. Not the left cheek.
Oh God! Get the spatula again. He's done it again.
Yes, lean into her face. Lean into her face.
Yes.
Oh shit!
Put on the gray dress. Do it. Don't look.
I don't want to put on the great ass. Put it on. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that was the dumbest, unnecessary parts. We already understand that he's crazy. We don't need to know how crazy or what his fetish is.
Or what Hitchcock's fetish is.
Yeah, right. That's all he's doing.
That whole scene where he busts into her apartment and is like, I know you. And she's like, get out of here. And he's like, no. And she's like, okay, here's my license and home address. That's good. Good movie making.
It's definitely what happened. It's believable.
She's just trying. So she knows she's not going to hurt her because she knows him. So she's just trying desperately to prove she's a different person than he thinks she might be. That's all.
I've seen this one before,
So
mister.
he's not a stranger to her at all.
But Jimmy doesn't know that, even though it kind of
but
explains
she
it away.
does.
Jimmy's still being a fucking creep. He's like, just let me in. I
he
want to
is.
talk. I swear to God, I'm not going to hurt you. You can close it. You can keep the door
I know,
open.
yeah. No, I know he's being a creep, but her reactions
Door
seem to make
open, I know.
sense.
They called the Bay Area sunny California. Not the case.
I was wondering about that.
San Francisco is not a part of sunny California. To
I was like,
anybody
well, you
who,
went to the wrong place there, dame.
Yeah, you fucked up big time. It's probably the least sunny portion of California.
Lots of poop.
And there's poop. Yeah. Yeah, I had a note. I thought it was a dummy first time I
When
watched
she
it.
felt the girl was thrown from the tower,
Yeah.
it looked very much like I did too. I was thinking of it for a while, but then I had the same thoughts. Like, well, but then they've got to know they can't have a trial because they can't go. Oh, someone broke the dummy. We got to prosecute for that.
Oh.
So
There's no way we can get this stuffing back in there. You're going to jail.
yeah, it's bad. Very lifelike dummy.
The last stupid thing in this movie is that why did she stay? Not only did she stay in the city where she tricked this guy and he wanders around aimless. She knows he's going to wander around looking for her. She lives in the same fucking area. She didn't even move elsewhere. Like San Francisco's a pretty big city.
Secretly, she wanted this to happen.
Yeah, there you go. Explain it
Well,
away.
she did
God
say
damn it.
Jenny,
I had
just
hoped, but
just
not-
picture
what did she
Hitchcock
say?
smushing your tweet cheeks together and saying, "My dear, dear boy,
We're talking
don't you see? This is what she wanted. Don't
I
you
had
see
hoped-
that?"
Is this
but not
Hitchcock
hoped.
patting me in the face with two hands?
Yeah,
That's exactly what that
he's
was.
smushing your little cheeks, Denny. Don't you see?
I can't
Don't
imagine
you
something
see?
I would want
Don't
less
you
than
see she
Hitchcock
wanted this?
doing that to me. That seems like the worst thing ever.
I know, but it'd be fun.
It would be fun. Oh, boy.
He's just behind me, breathing on my neck. Did you like my movie?
I liked my movie. I made a mess over here. I'll clean it up.
I loved my movie.
All right, you guys want to get into commentary?
Yeah. Trivia.
Trivia, John. Do you want to
Commentary.
give me a break from talking? Do you want to do your
Yeah.
do
So what I did
book
is
time with Johnny? Do we have a name for
Book
this
time
yet?
with Johnny.
Book
yeah, I
time
don't know.
with Johnny.
Johnny's book corner.
There you go.
Yeah,
I don't like that one.
Johnny,
I don't like either
Johnny
of those.
book
They're both
time. Johnny
Yeah.
book time. All right.
So there's, and you imagine there's a ton of stuff written about Hitchcock. God knows, there's biographies, autobiographies, this, that, and the other. I mean, there's so many books about this guy. But I ended up settling on the Truffaut book. So when Hitchcock was in his 60s, Francis Truffaut, who we know as the director from 400 Blows,
Francois?
amongst other films,
Francois
Truffaut.
Francois.
Yep. He sat down with Hitchcock for a week or so, and they just interviewed each other. He just interviewed him for like hours. So they had like all these tapes, and then they just they had a French translator there because so he was still speaking French, and Hitchcock was responding in English, and then they translated all of it and basically wrote a book. So he had 500 questions for Hitchcock.
Hot damn.
Whoa.
Covering all of his movies. So this book I'll refer back to for our other Hitchcock movies as well, because I think it's just, is it neat? I don't know, but at least gives you an idea of what Hitchcock's thinking about these films, if we care, which I don't know.
I care. I kind of want to know
yeah.
why, there's got to be a reason everyone holds them so high in regard, you know?
Well, Truffaut says that he sees like Hitchcock as a filmmaker, or like not just a director. Like he has a singular vision. He, from top to bottom, he puts his stamp on films. He knows what he wants. He has a vision, and he's not just there to make like an action movie or a comedy or entertain the audience. For what Truffaut is saying is that, you know, Hitchcock is a master, and he has a singular vision, and that's why he respects. Or one of the reasons, like he has a great deal of respect.
He respects him because he's a master, and he's a master because he gets respect. And he made a couple of movies that made a lot of money, and that all
but
makes
he
sense to
knows
me.
what he wants.
Hey, we liked what Truffaut did. I mean, I certainly liked the 400 Blows a lot. I can get to Vertigo, but the one story everybody talks, like, have you heard the jail story for Hitchcock? Like, there's this one story that gets told over and over about him.
Jail story,
when he was young. His dad had him report to the jail, and they put him in jail overnight. And because his dad was friends with the sheriff, and the sheriff said, "This is what we do to naughty little boys." And Hitchcock has told that story over and over again. Truffaut asked him to recount it, and he said, "Yeah, it really happened." And he had no idea what he was being punished for. And he said he was a very good boy. That his dad always called him his little lamb without a spot because he was just so well behaved. But he there's this impression that he was brought up with really strict parents that were sort of strange. So he's probably
You're
very
my
repressed.
perfect little lamb, and
You're
I
my
put you in
perfect
prison.
little
Wait,
lamb.
little lamb without a
Don't
spot.
look to
Go
your
to jail,
left.
little lamb without a spot. Yeah, I don't know.
Creepy.
He got into the show business via title illustration, which he talks a little bit about how much power there was back then when in silent films, because you could, and this apparently happened, you would change films entirely by changing all the titles, because you could completely change all the dialogue. And you could do that, move scenes around, and make like a horror into a comedy or a drama into a comedy if it was really crappy.
Yeah, that was. We've talked about that for silent films. Like the screenwriter and the title writer were two completely different jobs, and one was like to direct the acting, and then the other one was to, you know, the story for the people watching the movie.
Right. So that was sort of interesting. I think that,
and he would not only write them, but he would like draw the nice letters and stuff too, or was that somebody else?
He would draw the little stuff in there too. That's actually how he got noticed. Is he would draw little things like little candles and stuff, and that's part of how he got noticed as well, because he would sort of annotate the writings, because he also did some artwork. And then they started to let him direct some non-actor scenes, and that's kind of how he started to get known as a director, and then got some breaks.
Wow.
There's tons on his history. I skipped around on this book, and maybe we'll do more. But Vertigo itself is taken from the novel, a French novel, D'Entrées les Morts. And Truffaut tells him in the interviews, he said, this book was especially written so that you might do a screen version of it. And Alfred didn't know this. Hitchcock didn't know this. He's like, no, I didn't know that. Because these authors of this book that Vertigo was based on had noticed that Hitchcock wanted to buy Diabolique. That, remember when we watched that film, that Hitchcock wanted to get the rights to the film but wasn't able to. So they basically set out to write novels that Hitchcock would eventually buy.
No,
Wait, so they wrote
way.
Diabolique so Hitchcock would buy it specifically?
Not Diabolique, but they wrote the Entrées les Morts specifically for Hitchcock to buy it. But Hitchcock didn't know that. So he ended up buying it. and he's
it
like,
worked.
oh, really?
Can you imagine they
So they
baited
wrote
that
Diabolique.
weirdo in?
So sorry, John, just to clarify this timeline. They wrote Diabolique. Hitchcock tried to buy it, but that other guy...
No, I don't know if they wrote Diabolique.
They did.
Did they? Is the same group? Yeah.
So I have that as trivia too. But they wrote Diabolique. He tried to buy it, but couldn't because someone else already had it. But they're like, holy shit, Hitchcock almost bought it. And then they wrote something else.
Yes.
Okay,
they wrote several
funny.
other books because
That's Hollywood
basically
right there.
designed to get him to buy it.
Did he only buy one?
I don't know if he bought more from them, but I think that's, to my knowledge, that's
I looked
what
it up
was.
as you keep talking.
Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Here, kitty, kitty. That's all that is. They baited him right in, and he took it hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we can make some money here. Let's do it. Why not?
Yep.
When Truffaut asked him what was it that interested you in the story, and Hitchcock says it was the hero's, he said, I was intrigued by the hero's attempts to recreate the image of a dead woman through another one who's alive. That's what he, when you ask Hitchcock, why did he like that book? That was it.
Wow.
And in the book, Hitchcock made a change in the book, the reader doesn't know about the twist, the final one, until the main character does at the end. Hitchcock made this decision and said that he was deciding between it's suspense or surprise, and he wanted more suspense. So by having the audience know what the twist was well before Stewart's character did creates more suspense, as opposed to a big surprise at the end. He wanted to have this long, drawn out suspense of what's Stewart going to do once he finds out what's going to happen here. So he felt that was the point of, that he thought that was an important change that he made from the book. So then Truffaut's asking him sort of like more about the plot and what he thinks about it. Hitchcock says that, so to put it plainly, the man wants to go to bed with a woman who's dead. He's indulging in a form of necrophilia.
Oh, boy.
Says Hitchcock. And Hitchcock says that, that's the basic situation in this picture. Cinematically, all of Stewart's efforts to recreate the dead woman are shown in such a way as that he seems to be trying to undress her instead of the other way around. What I liked best is when the girl came back after having had her hair dyed blonde and Stewart is disappointed. It goes on, what this really means is that the girl is almost stripped, but she still won't take her knickers off. When he insists, she says, all right, and goes into the bathroom while he waits outside. And what Stewart is really waiting for is for the woman to emerge totally naked this time and ready for love.
You see, really, William Friedkin went over this too. He must have read this or knew what Hitchcock wanted, but that does not come across at all when you're watching the movie at all.
And I'm glad it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems weird.
Yeah. And Truffaut just says, that didn't occur to me.
That's a failure of movie making, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm just sort of disgusted by the whole thing. I don't know if it's a failure of movie making or just my mind isn't, I don't know, maybe I'm not going to go towards necrophilia. So maybe it is hinting at some kind of necrophilia there, but that's not a place I'm going to go unless
where my head went. Yeah.
Really, I'd have to really be forced there. There's no subtlety about how what really is going on here. Hitchcock whispering in your ear, Denny. Well, he really wants to have sex with a dead woman. What he wants is a dead woman, sex with a dead woman. You see, dead sex with dead woman.
Left, Dennis.
There's one thing to have a movie that requires explanation for you to understand, and then once you understand, you can go back and be like, oh, I see how that makes sense, as opposed to there being no clue whatsoever of what's supposed to be going on, and then have the director explain to you what he thought, and then everyone being like, but there's nothing. There's nothing in the acting. There's nothing in the way the story's being told.
No. There's not an awe. This is really, it's more, I agree. I think it's really more the connection with Hitchcock's fantasies. It's more like there's a connection between Hitchcock and this film and what he's seeing, and we are not Hitchcock. We do not have this. We do not have these thoughts and some, just sort of like this idea of enjoying this idea of necrophilia as it relates to romance. Like that's just nowhere near where most of our heads would go, I think. So that's why to me, at least, there's that. Yeah, of course, there's this total disconnection. I don't think those things. So, even if you were to make it even more explicit, I would just be weirded out, I guess. And it would just be,
understanding
really
that
movie.
Doesn't make that good.
Yeah. But I don't know. But yeah, I don't see that as I don't see that as deep. I see that as
weird.
Hitchcock's kind of sick.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a bit messed up. And maybe, he may not have necessarily hurt anybody. Maybe he's kind of a nice guy and has an interesting sense of humor. I don't know. But man, it's weird.
It's strange.
Yeah. So let's see. So that's most of the thing. I mean, it's like I would just be interested. It would be interesting to think if anybody sees this film and thinks, oh yeah, it's a necrophilia thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Obviously, it's clear. It's clear as day. That's necrophilia.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Hitchcock has an interesting thing about the Stairway Distortion. He was kind of proud of it. So when he was talking to Truffaut about that, when you look down the spiral staircase and it sort of like distends.
Yes, indeed. The very famous shot.
Yeah. He was like, I want to do this. This is what I want. I want to have like a pan out. I want to have it zoom, and I want to use a dolly and zoom simultaneously to get that effect. And they're like, no, dude, to do that, we'll have to like put a camera up in the rafters. It's going to cost like $50,000. So Hitchcock said, well, there's no people in it. Let's just make a model, lay it on its side and do it that way. And so that's the way they did it. And it was like $15,000.
$19,000. Still pretty freaking expensive for some reason.
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, crazy how like that, this was the first movie that shot had ever been used in. Hitchcock had the idea for it back in 1940 for Rebecca, but it was too expensive and, quote, the technology wasn't there yet. What?
Right.
What technology? A zoom lens into dolly track? Like, that's not technology.
So, yeah, I don't know. So Hitchcock had one one thing that bothered him about the plot. I could ask you guys to guess, but I think that would just take time.
It's Jimmy Stewart. He's too old.
No, it's how did the husband know that Jimmy wouldn't make it up the stairs? How could the husband be certain that Jimmy's vertigo would be so intense that he couldn't get up the stairs and save the girl?
That is what he's worried about. There's so many. Oh, it's ridiculous.
That was his worry about the plot when he thinks about it. But yeah, they said that Vertigo at the time wasn't a hit, wasn't necessarily a failure, but in terms of a Hitchcock movie, it was a flop. And Hitchcock says, "Yeah, I suppose it was a flop or something." He says, and he says, this is kind of an example of his usual humor. Sort of, he says, well, one of our whimsies is when a picture isn't doing too well is to blame it on the faulty exploitation. So let's live up to the tradition and say that they just didn't handle the sales properly. Yeah, so I just think it's cute. And that's very typical of his humor. And he was a very good publicist for his own films as well. Done.
Good old Hitchcock.
That's all I got for John's book corner here.
I have heard that Hitchcock also was mad and somewhat blamed Jimmy Stewart, the casting of Jimmy Stewart, because he was too old and unbelievable as the lead character for this movie.
He doesn't mention that in these interviews. I mean, who knows? But yeah, I didn't. He seems to like Stewart's tension and ability to act, but he certainly wasn't.
Oh, he did.
Like,
he worked with him a lot, but this is the last movie he worked with him on because he was just like he's too old now. He can't do it.
He's too old now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this movie is supposed to be the most personal Hitchcock film, as we've been kind of already touching on. You know what, with the necrophilia now added to the list, but also, Hitchcock apparently he likes blonde women.
Oh, and you would never know that.
There's a blonde woman in every one of his movies. Apparently, that's a thing. His fear of getting stuck in someone's body, I guess that was the thing for him too. He's kind of a fat guy, so like the topic of being in prison in your own body was something that was
necrophilia.
Okay.
Necrophilia. Yeah. And then also obsession. He was an obsessive dude. He was like a perfectionist, I guess, in certain ways. And this movie's about obsession as well. He said this movie is only about guilt and obsession. That
seems right.
The plot doesn't matter, according to him. Visual impact is all that matters.
That's fine. If the visual impact was impactful, I guess. But it doesn't work so much. Yeah.
Hitchcock was in this movie, as he is in most of his movies. Did you guys see him?
I was trying to look for him, and I didn't see him. Where was he?
Very early scene where they're outside of some like train station-y area, and he's just a guy. You can't even see his face. He just walks in the foreground. He's got like a trombone case in his hand.
Wait, isn't that also him? Didn't he have a musical...
In Strangers in a Train, I think?
Didn't he have an instrument there, too?
I think so.
I think he
had like a big box, a very weirdly shaped box in that one, too.
Nice.
It's his thing, I guess. The Gavin's office set in this movie where he goes to get the exposition dump towards the beginning of the movie. That was a set, and Hitchcock liked it so much that he had the designer and an actual architect go and recreate that set in his house.
That's weird.
In Hitchcock's house, yeah.
That's fun.
That is kind
of.
He
got the gray dress and he put it in. He
kept saying that to the architect. No, make the wall this color. No, I don't want to. No, more brown. No, Mr. Hitchcock, I'm tired of painting.
Yeah, exactly.
That red restaurant that they go to a number of times in this movie is called Ernie's. It was a real restaurant. And here's some little San Francisco trivia. Not surprising. It used to be considered one of the best steakhouses in the country, in the top 3. Closed in 1999. San Francisco doesn't want your steak. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh, right.
Not a steak-loving town. That's
not
for
an
damn
avocado
sure.
in the entire building.
I love a good steak.
Oh, it might make you happy to know, Denny. I forgot to mention this. That Hitchcock was not happy with Novak. He wasn't pleased with her as much. But so maybe you and Hitchcock, he's like, that's right, my boy. I didn't like her either, really. But what do you do?
She didn't let me take her clothes off, therefore, no thank you.
Why won't you wear the gray dress?
The outdoor close-ups were done with a rear projector. They had 2 weeks on location in San Francisco, and then they had 2 months of indoor shooting. And they would film the same location separately and then project it on a rear projector so they could get the characters' lighting and stuff better, They'd have studio lighting, so it looked better up close, as opposed to trying to go with natural lighting outside, which apparently is hard to do, if not impossible. So William Friedkin did the commentary on this because the second thing that he did was the very last Alfred Hitchcock Hour episode. He directed it.
Nice. I watched that. Did you ever watch that? I used to watch it. It was like on Sundays.
It was like,
That's right.
And then like he came up.
He'd like step into the film.
Oh, actually, I have seen one of those, two of those.
Kind of like the Twilight Zone. It's like right? It was like little shorts.
Yeah, and he would talk.
Yeah, he described it a little bit beforehand.
So say what happens here is that she comes across the screen again.
Freaking described how Hitchcock would come in and just read for the episode and then not really interact with anybody. And Freakin went up to him. They like shook his hand, and he was like, "Oh man, Hitchcock, so good to meet you. I'm a huge fan." And Hitchcock looked at him and said, "We usually like our directors to wear ties around here." And then he left.
Nice.
And then Friedkin won a Directors Guild Award a little while later for The French Connection. And Hitchcock was there. And Friedkin went up to Hitchcock and he had a tie on. And he was like, "You like my tie now, Hitchcock?" And Hitchcock had no idea what he was talking about.
Sure. Right.
He doesn't remember it at all.
Yeah, he was just a dick to nobodies all the time, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a guy.
He didn't direct very much in this movie. He had an idea of what he wanted. He storyboarded the shots. He would give the storyboards. Like, he had worked with all these people before for the most part, including the actors, but like the entire production crew, the cinematographer, the editor, everybody. So he kind of, on this one, sat in the director's chair and only spoke up when something blatantly bad happened. And he would be like, "Do that again." Otherwise, he like just created a machine for himself and just coasted throughout this movie.
Well, he did over 50 films. I mean, it's quite a lot.
Maybe that's why it sucked, or it wasn't like,
Maybe so. Also, Friedkin said when he met him, he was going in for a handshake the first time. He said Hitchcock put his hand out all limp-wristed and weak, like he wanted Friedkin to kiss his hand.
You see, my boy. Look to your left and grab my hand.
I have a note that says voyeurs.
Voyeurs.
He says Friedkin says he says voyeurs instead of voyeurs. Voyeurs. He said it multiple times.
Voyeurs. That's
the voyeurism. That's even harder to say.
Voyeurism.
And I also thought it was funny. There was not funny, but just speaks to directors and movies they obsess over. He mentioned when Jimmy Stewart was getting his drink, and he's like, "Oh, and here goes Jimmy getting his famous scotch and soda." Who is that famous for? Jimmy Stewart drinking a scotch and soda in this movie.
Maybe he's always getting a scotch and soda in all of his movies.
Maybe that's why his fucking cheeks are so big. He's got the bloat.
No, you see, that was a strategy so he could have a lot of extra skin to push against women's faces. You got to get that alcohol blow to get nice and smushy in the face.
Nice, it gives you that baby face.
You think you read a lot about necrophilia, John. Friedkin talked about necrophilia for a good quarter of the commentary track. He said the word necrophilia probably 20 to 30 times.
That's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Seems awkward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. That's a good topic for a first date. Take some notes out there, you young men. Just bring that up. Go see Vertigo and talk about necrophilia.
Necrophilia, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just show up to our house too, and just
right. And if you dump a pitcher of water over her head, you have permission to undress her and put her in your bed.
That's right too.
Yeah.
Oh, are you looking for the robe?
Oh, we got to get you out of these wet clothes. No, you don't. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I do. Ah, shit.
Two more Hitchcock things. If you can't tell, I'm kind of I don't know. Hitchcock is leaving me as Anyway, he
on the fence.
Yeah, he said about Kim. Kim came up to him. Kim Novak, the lead actress in this movie, came up to him during the shoot and asked for character motivations from Hitchcock. And Hitchcock dismissed her and said, "Let's not probe too deeply into these matters, Kim. It's only a movie."
I don't like that.
Do you?
I don't know. It's just kind of funny to just to think that's not the actor going, "What is my motivation? What am I thinking here?" It's like let's not worry about that, dear.
Dude, that's why all of his actors are so fucking wooden all the time and soulless. So. There's no motivation. They're just repeating lines with he's like, "Do that. You're upset, and here's the line. Go."
Yeah.
You were cast for your looks. Read the line like a robot. This is a Hitchcock movie.
So really, he was a lazy filmmaker.
No, I think he wasn't lazy. He just focused on...
No, in the sense of like how he approached it while they were shooting.
Right, the actual
Like he had all the
directing
prep,
actors.
he had all
Yeah.
the stuff, and then it was just like, yeah, no, do it. We already did the work. The work was
Yeah.
the setup.
Do what I already
That's right.
did. Just do that.
Yeah.
What I wrote on
Yeah.
paper, make that
Yeah.
real, okay?
Yeah, that's all it was. Yeah.
So here's the last little game here. If you were to pick 3 descriptors of what Hitchcock's perfect woman was, this might be a dangerous game. Blonde, ding,
5'6",
ding,
5'6", big ass,
ding. Braless.
and yeah,
Good guesses.
curvy,
No, it was
curvy,
no. All very good guesses.
fake eyebrows.
Blonde, 5'6", fake eyebrows. TC's got it. He wins first prize. That's it. No, it's blonde, subtle, and Nordic.
Nordic. Of course. How could I not
Nordic.
get that?
Yeah.
Nordic.
Yeah.
I get it. That's
Kind of
sort
goes hand in hand with the
Viking
blondes. Yeah.
Yes, Midge.
thing.
Okay.
Poor Midge.
All right. So before we talk about next week, I guess.
Yeah.
Would you put it in the top
Would you put
250?
Denny,
the top
this is a good
250.
movie. Denny, say it. Say this is your favorite.
Look at your shoulder blades.
My shoulders are all sweaty because Hitchcock's hands have been on my shoulders this entire podcast. episode.
The whole podcast, Denny. Yeah.
Quite clammy.
Quite.
Your shoulder blades are quite sharp, Daddy.
I don't know.
Sean Connery
No,
doing
I would
Alfred
say,
Hitchcock.
Yeah. I would do no. I would not.
I'm going to
put
go
this in
no. John, what do you say?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no. So there's this movie that we can't watch next week, but I want to watch it. It's called The 800. That's what it's called, The 800.
What?
It was the
The
highest grossing
800.
movie of 2020.
Really?
Chinese movie.
What's it called? The
All right.
800?
Why can't we watch it?
Because it's not available yet.
Oh.
It has really good reviews. It made a ton of money. It looks pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll get to see it at some point. I'm sure
Yeah.
it'll come to something. So as soon as it does, we'll try to keep an eye on when it's like available.
Yeah.
Um,
Good call on that one. So what the list movie is next week is Das Boot.
Oh,
Oh.
Das Boot.
Das Boot.
Ooh.
All right, QTC with nothing else to say. Q John being tired. We're at the end of this
Answer.
episode. This definitely isn't being inserted from weeks from now when we finally decided what movie we wanted to watch.
Are we done
at all.
yet? I gotta go to bed. Are we done
Yeah.
yet?
I'm just tired.
Trivia, so much trivia.
It is so much trivia.
God, now the books and all the reading.
So instead of watching the 500, I think it's what it was.
I thought it was
Is that
Dice
what it
Boot.
was?
5,000?
What? Was
That-
it? What do you mean?
The
Who
Chinese
cares
movie?
what it was? We didn't watch it.
We
I
just
thought-
said
I
it
thought
like
we
2
were-
minutes ago. We should remember, but you know.
I thought we were about to watch Das Boot next.
Oh, is it
Or
Das
that.
Boot?
Yeah.
What's the
That was it, I think.
5,000?
That might
I
have
didn't
been
even know anything about this big number.
the
What's this big
5,000
number?
was that Chinese movie that we can't get yet,
Oh,
but
I didn't know it was called the 5,000. Why
called
is
the
that?
500 or
500?
something?
5,000.
Yeah.
Go 500.
You're gonna Google this again right now.
Yeah.
Well, this will edit right in. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
The
you
800.
picked
That's
up
what it's
on
called.
the
800.
Okay.
800.
Does that
All
one
right.
ring a
It's
bell, John?
larger
Did it
one.
have to be the right
A
number?
little. Yeah. Well,
A little?
5,000.
Yeah,
That's
lie
a
to
lot
me.
more.
Don't lie. Come on. I think I said the
I have no
500
idea.
first.
No, it's all. I have no idea.
So, but anyway, we're gonna watch Nomadland next week.
Nomadland.
Yeah, because
Brand new movie available on Hulu streaming. Oscar buzz for this one.
Yeah.
Lots of awards.
and it just won last weekend when this comes out. It won Best Picture and Best Director at the Golden Globes.
Nice.
So it seems topical. So that's what we're gonna watch next week. Sound good?
Sounds awesome.
good.
Let's do
Yeah.
it.
All right.
Wait a minute. I don't know if I really want to.
Oh, okay, maybe we have to think about it a little bit longer.
Okay,
Yeah.
now let's do it.
Okay. All right, dudes. This will be the end of the episode. So
Cool.
Take care, guys.
It's gonna be a nice
Talk to
smooth
you.
transition.
Yep. Talk to you in a little while.
Stop 'em.